Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays, where we talk to guests who are, wow, my mouth isn't working today, who are professionals in the mental health space, those who experience or live with a mental health challenge, or mental health advocates. And if you're joining us already and you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so that you don't miss any other episodes. And because we're on number 31, episode 31, holy moly, which is awesome. So, without further ado, I am going to bring up my guest for today, Miss Linda Lee. Thank you so much, Linda, for joining me today.
Thanks for having me, Kelly.
Yeah, and I know we were just briefly chatting, but I want to have you just share a little bit about yourself with the audience.
Yeah, I'd love to. So I really believe that health is wealth, and that includes mental health as being just as important, if not even more, as physical health. I believe we can heal ourselves through our own self-discovery, through being curious. There are so many great resources out there today, like your podcast. Thank you so much. We can build our health up, and I think we need to do it piece by piece. It's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle where we find, oh, here's a piece that'll fit in, and here's another one, and 3 months later we find another one, and pretty soon we put it all together and we get that optimal health until we actually can feel joy, because I feel that we deserve to feel joy every single day, in our lives. So I'm a strong advocate for healing not only of ourselves, but also our earth, our animals, our plants. We have to take care of all of it. And when we listen to our bodies and we really take steps to heal them, they respond. Our brains respond. I mean, we can really train our brains. We can move out of a life of anxiety and worry. And so I really believe everything is interconnected.
Yeah, I mean, that's really great information. Also, is I feel the same, is everything's just really interconnected. And I know that you have a story. So where did your journey really begin as you were looking into?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I've had generalized anxiety, which is kind of a low level worry since I was a child. And I wasn't in an environment where it was really okay to talk about. But I remember around being maybe 6 or 7 years old and having a really horrible panic attack and thinking I was dying. And, that feeling is just so scary. And it kept happening, and really didn't get any treatment at all. Went into my adulthood, and eventually, I saw many different doctors. And this is a common story, I think, with some of your guests and some of your listeners. Traditional medicine is very good at just handing out prescriptions instead of saying, hey, why do you feel anxious? Why do you have this constant worry? What's going on? Is it situational? Is it generalized? But so I ended up going on, I think, 4 different types of medications, very strong medications. And this was over a period of maybe 10 years. And I remember I was on that 4th one. I never really got better. I never really felt better because, you have other side effects. And something happened. I got some really tragic news about someone. And I should have felt emotional and probably cried. Would have been a very appropriate. And I was not crying. And I thought, something's wrong here. I turned into kind of this zombie. So that was my final moment of, I need to get off this medication. This isn't even who I am, right? I'm an empath, very sensitive. I mean, I really care about other people and what they're going through, and I couldn't cry. So I decided that day, I'm going to look for options. So I I learned about a local integrative doctor, Rose Kumar of the Omani Center here in Wisconsin. She totally got it within the first 5-10 minutes. I got off my medication, and I did it very carefully. So I'm not saying that for everybody that's the right thing. And I'm also not a health practitioner. So this is just my story, right? But I did eventually get off, and I started looking at other alternatives. Tried a lot of different things, the meditation, the yoga, the breathing, and I still do all that. But it wasn't until I saw a blog on Wellness Mama. I don't know if you're familiar with her.
I'm not.
Oh,
No.
she's amazing. Her name is Katie Wells, and she's been running this website. I think she's got 6 million subscribers at this point. She's fabulous. And I happened to be reading a blog about magnesium. And I thought, magnesium, I don't really know much about it. So I started to research about it. And the WHO states about 70% of Americans are deficient. And I was like, wow. And then there was all these different signs from different resources after that that kept coming up, anxiety and magnesium. So I'm like, you kind of start to think, okay, somebody's trying up there, trying to tell me something, right? And so I just got into researching about it, got a lot of different products from all over the US. I found out I had to use a lot of product in order to get any benefits. And they were kind of sticky and greasy and not comfortable, to put on. And that really started my journey of, hey, I'm going to create something better. Mm-hmm. So that brings up to my company. It's Mineral and Company. It's all online. And I have 2 products right here, unscented and lavender. And I have to thank all of my beta testers and my customers because they're the ones who taught me everything that I know.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, I just wrote that down and I was like, Wellness Mama, I got to go check that out. So,
she's amazing. She's really good.
I'll have to go. I know that there's a lot of links in like deficiency and mental health challenges that come up. And I have not heard, well, I guess I kind of like zinc and magnesium. Those are 2 that I have heard, especially through the pandemic, right? Like where we are or have been deficient in these things. And I learned it because last year I actually ended up getting COVID and then I got the IV infusion. Mm-hmm. And they said that I was talking to the woman that came to my house and we were talking about what I did. And she's like, oh yeah. She's like, if you have anybody who's depressed or has anxiety or any of that, we really recommend this like specific cocktail, which she said was like the zinc and magnesium. So that's really cool.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many people have gotten great benefits from using magnesium. And of course, there's supplements as well. There are oral supplements. They actually, I think it's around 20% of those are absorbed because they have to go through the GI tract. And a lot of people get some issues from that. And so this bypasses the whole GI tract and everything's absorbed. But for some people, the oral supplements or oral powders work pretty well as another option.
Oh, wow. And so yours is is it a topical?
So it's topical. It's called transdermal, which literally means goes into the skin. And our skin is an organ. We learned that long ago, right? It's our biggest organ. And whatever we put on our skin, we have to really think about it because it's going to go into our bloodstream. And when I got into this journey, I was looking at all different products and, what's safe, what's organic, what isn't safe, like in terms of preservatives and that kind of thing. I went through EWG.org is a great resource for your listeners to take a look at. And you can go through your whole bathroom and look at your products and look at the labels and see what EWG.org is saying about that. It's called Skin Deep within that EWG.org. And I went through that with a Sharpie and I started circling things and writing down the numbers and are these safe? Are they not safe? I probably threw out, 99% of what I actually had thinking this was a good brand. I thought it was great. I really never looked at the labels though. And so it's very important. And I have a blog post about this on the website. It's about greenwashing. One is greenwashing and one is about reading labels. So we, just like our food, we need to, big food is always putting sugars and all sorts of things in there, refined foods that also deplete magnesium. But we need to start looking at our cosmetics, our medical type of products to see what do they really include. Is it water? Am I just paying for a bunch of water? Am I paying for pretty packaging? Is there phenoxyethanol, for example, as a preservative? That's a very, very cheap one. It's kind of like I compare it to the high fructose corn syrup, in foods. We don't want that. We don't want that because we put it on our skin. That's very toxic. It's going to do more harm than good if we put that on our skin, right? So it's been a real education and I want to extend that to my customers as well.
Yeah. And so I think I wrote, so ewg.org is what you said
Yes.
you can go to. So if you're watching
Yes.
this and you're like, what was that website? It's
Right.
ewg.org.
Work.
And
Mhm.
that is definitely something that I actually recently learned a couple years ago, as far as the aluminum in like
Yes.
deodorant and in, I didn't
Right.
realize it was in lotion and all different
Yes.
things. And I
Yeah.
didn't understand what it does to your body, right? It's just something, you go to the
Right.
store, you grab some lotion or you grab some deodorant and you
Right.
don't think about it.
Right.
And so
No.
that's huge to think about, like what goes onto your skin actually goes into your bloodstream, and it can affect
Yes.
everything in your body. And I know that
Yes.
it is impossible to fully get away from toxins and all those
Yeah.
things because of our atmosphere, but there are certain
Yeah.
things in your daily routine that you can definitely
Yeah.
change and adapt to eliminate, or try to eliminate some of them. So
You're so right, and it also includes cleaners. There are so many toxic cleaners out there, and for example, you see a lot of the brands put a little green leaf on there, so you think, "Oh, okay," or it's called eco something, and we really have to, as consumers, start reading. You have to flip it over and look at that label and try to understand it. It's just like food. If there's too many ingredients on there, just pass it by, and I make all my own cleaners. They're very basic, they're very inexpensive, they work really great, and I don't worry if it gets on my skin.
yeah, I mean, it's huge to even think about. And so as you
Yeah.
were going through this journey and really like getting educated on everything really that's like touching your skin, that's going into your body, that you're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to create this product."
Yeah.
How has that really shifted your anxiety?
Oh, it's completely changed it. I mean, and anxiety and insomnia for a lot of us go in tandem,
Mm.
right? So if you feel anxious, your nervous system is just overloaded. And even though you want to go to sleep, it's very hard to wind down. So I used to wake up 5 or 6 times a night. I mean, and then you get up in the morning and you feel exhausted, like you didn't sleep at all, right? Um, and the next day you have low energy. It's just constant fatigue. It's been shown, I read a lot of studies, that when we are sleep deprived, we don't eat as well. So we're eating quicker food, easier food, more refined food. Well, then that's a cycle that doesn't make us feel very good, right? Instead of doing food preparation and making a proper meal, we'll just grab something quick, you know? And so it's just this vicious cycle. And I have a whole I'm doing an article right now for somebody on sleep. I think it's very, very important that we get our sleep, and we start to look at the sources, because there are so many things that we can do to get our whatever 7 to 9 hours that we need every night. It's amazing how little sleep we're getting, and that also will add to our anxiety. So, yeah, it's a
Yeah.
lot.
I know there's so many. I love bringing guests on here because I feel like we all keep like tying into each other, the more and more
Yeah,
people that I have on here. And I know you mentioned that when you first came on, is just how
yeah,
everything starts to tie together. And I know I've had like a
yeah.
sleep expert on here, and he talked a lot about that too. And I do know that sleep is very important for our bodies, and those people that
Yes.
work like swing shifts or are those shift
Oh,
workers, they tend to not get the quality sleep, which is huge. So if
yeah.
you're not getting that sleep, there are other things that you can do, like look
Mhm.
into like you said, the food that you're eating, this what you're putting on
Yes.
your skin, if you're deficient in
Yes.
any certain areas. And so I
Yeah.
think that as a society, we've just created these easy things, right? Like you were saying, and
Right.
it's
Right.
created more and more mental health challenges, more and more disorders, more and more illnesses, all of the
Yes.
disease that we didn't have before. And so, yeah, I think
Yes.
it's time to start, like, as a society, shifting back and really looking at like
Yes.
what is being put in our face and then what is
Yes.
being produced. And so if
Yes.
somebody is like, man, I can't, my doctors can't figure it out, like nobody wants to help me,
Mhm.
I have so much anxiety. I'm constantly feeling depressed. I'm constantly feeling sleepy.
Mhm.
Do you have any tips, tricks, advice?
Absolutely. I mean, I'll give you a couple of the signs of the magnesium deficiencies first of all, just to give your guests or your listeners some idea. So we talked about insomnia and anxiety, right? Fatigue. If they have muscle tension, like spasms in their muscles or cramping overnight, that's a good indication of a deficiency. So they can think about that. Headaches and migraines can be, part of that. Poor cognitive processes, like not feeling very clear, sort of that brain fog, irritability, high stress levels. We can start to slowly correct that thing. And I always tell my customers, this is part of the whole. Like, I don't think it's ever going to be a, one thing fits all and it's going to just, cure you. You really want to look at the plethora of things that we need to do. Like you brought up food. I mean, that's great. I think food is medicine. And my integrative doctor is amazing like that. She's always bringing it back to food. Get organic. A couple of the top 3 foods that I love for getting more magnesium. My first one is pumpkin seeds.
Mm.
They're so good. I usually get the organic ones and then just toast them up a little bit so they're really nice and browned up. So those are excellent. Eat them every day. Second one is spinach, and the third one is a fun one. It's dark chocolate. So so we can't get too much magnesium through our food, so people don't have to worry about that. People can't get too much if they take oral supplements. So you have to be careful with that. And also just a caveat, if somebody has some kidney issues or really, really low blood pressure, we want to watch about them getting too much magnesium. So they would want to check in with the integrative doctor. But there are just so many benefits of magnesium that I've learned. So sleep issues, we talked about that, helps with the stress, that daily stress we're all feeling. And of course, it's skyrocketed the last couple of years, with COVID. The muscle soreness, it maintains the muscle or the normal nerve and muscle function. I actually, again, I love my customers. One of our beta testers had eczema on her arms, right? And she never wore, beautiful young girl, and she never wore short sleeve shirts. And I asked her one day, how come, you're really dressed up, for a July day, right? And so she showed me her arms and I said, hey, would you like to try this product? So she put it on, and within a couple of days, it just tended to lighten and lighten and lighten until it wasn't this blistery red color anymore. So there's so many different things that we can do. And it's very natural. We want to put organic products on our skin because, again, it's going to absorb everything into our bloodstream. But there's also things like it's supporting a healthy immune system. So then that leads into, okay, what about the microbiome? Let's talk about that, for overall health. So it's just this path that goes on, and there's so many things we can do these days. There's so many resources. I wish I would have had access to a podcast like yours probably 15, 20 years ago, because, I would have saved myself a lot of angst, like maybe some of your listeners. Keeps the heartbeat steady, keeps the bones strong. Actually, my integrative doctor did a great video that's on the homepage of the website. And so from her perspective, she explains the benefits of magnesium in case any of your listeners just want to watch a quick video on it.
Yeah. So I'm curious, do you make the products yourself? Is it something that you're um, uh, producing more often than not, or how does that look?
Yeah. Yeah. So we manufacture everything in house. I've looked at, other manufacturers, and really the people that I've talked to have said absolutely don't do that because you're going to lose some of that quality. And it's very high quality, fair trade, sustainable. Like I use my main supplier is out of Oregon. They're Oregon Tilth. They work very, very hard. They're zero waste, including upstream. I've known them for over 20 years. And then when I started the business, it was just a natural extension, and I don't want to hand that over to somebody else. So yes, I do it all ourselves.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know
I do.
it can get challenging. I know in my journey I have found CBD, and so I learned
Yep.
way more about that than I ever thought I possibly would, because my
Yep.
son's had seizures, and so I know the process of making products in general it can be tedious, but like you said, it's
Mhm.
really important to keep that quality and the standard and making sure that you're actually getting the product that you want
Yeah.
people to get. So that's awesome that you do it all yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And it is the only product out there where magnesium is the first ingredient. I mean, the only one. If there's one out there, bless them. But usually it's water. And I don't want customers paying for water, right? That doesn't make sense. And so that's why it's so highly concentrated. It's 200 milligrams per teaspoon of absorbable or elemental. It's actually over 400, but only about half of that is absorbable. So that's what I count. And I've done the research. I mean, I've called everybody out there who makes it, and I wanted to do it better for customers. Who wants to put on a third of a cup or half of a cup of product every day? I mean, that's just not appropriate. It just doesn't feel good. So a teaspoon a day, people can do 2 if they want. That's doable.
Yeah, I was also thinking as you were talking, I was like, what do I do? Like lather up my whole entire body? Like, I'm like, can I have too much? I mean, potentially.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as you don't have a kidney issues, your kidneys will excrete whatever you don't use. So you don't have to worry about that. But very rarely people come in and they say, yeah, I am being treated for some kidney issues. And I always say, check with your integrative doctor first and just make sure that this is okay, because we have to be very careful with them.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mhm.
No, I think it sounds like an incredible product, and it's not like you have to like be using it every single day and like all over your body. It's definitely something
No.
that you can do in small doses, I guess, if you want to call it that way. And
Yeah.
so if somebody wants to find your products, wants to talk to you, how can they do that?
Mhm. So they can go to mineralandcompany.com. There you go. It's on the screen. So that's it. Thank you. And you can get, we're about educating our customers. So there's going to be more and more education, more posts on there. I've got some guest posts on there. This is about educating all of us in alternatives to traditional medicine and big pharma. And I think it's appropriate for certain people. So I'm not saying it's right for everybody. But what I've learned in my own journey is that there are so many other options out there for us to take care of our mental and our physical health. And it's just one piece at a time. We can do it.
Yeah, and definitely, I mean, one thing that I continue to say on these is make sure you advocate for yourself. If it's
Yes.
something that is or isn't working, make sure you advocate, whether it's an integrative doctor or your
Yes.
regular doctor, or if you do look into the alternatives and it's not working, like you can absolutely have that conversation, I'm sure, with Linda if you want or need more information. So
Yes.
definitely go check out the website. It was right below, but it's also in the comments if you didn't happen to capture that. Any last words or things that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, I just want to share a book. It's called The Chemistry of Calm, and I'll give you the link to that. And I just love this book. It's by Henry Emmons. He's a physician, and this is just a quick quote from him. It's about cultivating emotional wisdom. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows. And that's by Rumi. And I love that because, some days aren't great. And I think it's okay. And we're in this hustle culture where we're supposed to be so productive and get so much done, but it takes the meaning out of life and the joy out of life. So, I think it's okay to struggle. And I think it's okay to keep looking for a little piece at a time until we get to that place where we feel whole.
I love that. Yes. That is amazing. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not even but
Okay.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I mean, I definitely, every time I have somebody on here, I learn more and more. So thank you for sharing your journey, and thank you for sharing your products with us.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. That was another amazing episode of Mental Health Mondays, where we talk to professionals in the mental health space, advocates of mental health, or those that have experienced or live with a mental health challenge. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you smash down that subscribe button so you don't miss any other episodes, because I'm telling you, the guests that I have lined up moving forward and the guests that I had in the past are just phenomenal. And like we said, they keep tying into each other. And that's the coolest part is we have these conversations and they're really just candid conversations. And not a lot of us like to talk about these subjects, but we really need to. So make sure you like, subscribe, or share, but make sure you mash down the button and you can find all of Linda's information in the comments or rewind because I posted some links, which I'm trying new. It's good. So again, join us next Monday. We come to you every Monday live at 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So make sure you subscribe and keep in mind BCC Evolution is a mental health and suicide awareness nonprofit. And we bring all of this education, including all of our programs and all of our classes to you with the generous help of our donors. So you can become a warrior for mental health today by going to bccevolution.org and sign up to become a warrior with only $20 or more per month. I didn't wear my shirt today. They're actually all in the wash, but these are our other cool shirts. I know I've worn them a couple of times, but these are our Love Life shirts. You can find them in our store or go grab your Warrior for Mental Health shirts. But I appreciate you watching today, and we will see you next Monday. Bye, y'all.